Hi, I'm Sadia, and today we are going to discuss Pickup Lime's top 12 tips for any beginners venturing into the world of veganism. Now, this was a highly requested video and I'm very happy to share it with you today. But before we begin, there's a few important things that I need to mention. I am in no way pressuring you or forcing you to become a vegan. That's just not my philosophy. I think you should always do what feels right to you and let others do the same. And if you have no interest in adopting a vegan lifestyle, you certainly don't need to in order to still enjoy this video and the tips that I share. Including more plant-based foods into your diet is a win all around. If you're somebody who has a medical condition, you're immune compromised, or you're feeding young children, I would recommend seeing a physician or a dietitian before you begin. That way you've just got your bases covered. And finally, if you're interested in learning more about my journey into veganism, the difficulties I experienced when I first started, or the fears that I had with coming out as a vegan dietitian, I've already written about it on the website, so I will leave a link to that in the description box below in case you feel like checking it out. Okay, all of that aside, now let's get started. Forget what you heard about vegan food being bland, the lifestyle being too expensive, you not getting enough nutrients, or just being too complicated to incorporate into your life. If you go into it with a negative mindset, it's just going to feel like a punishment. But trust me, it is the furthest thing from that. Eating this way is nourishing, delicious, and wholesome. It's food that loves you as much as you love it back. And like anything else, it gets easier with time and practice. You'll find more affordable places to shop, and making meals will be just as quick, if not quicker, to make in time. So forget everything you think you know, and dive in with an open mind. Some people feel like when they become vegan, they need to also simultaneously become zero waste. Minimalists, gluten-free, sugar-free, oil-free, fitness warriors, not to mention an expert in vegan nutrition. But why all the pressure? You're going to learn more and more about veganism with time, and you can start to adopt these other lifestyle practices down the road if they even resonate with you at all. But biting off more than you can chew just leads to indigestion. So slow and steady, friends. Like I said, everything we do is harder and requires more of our time in the beginning. So intentionally schedule some extra time when it comes to preparing meals, at least for the first few weeks. You'll get faster, don't worry. The lifestyle change is going to be complicated if you've got nothing on hand to work with. So start by stocking up on the pantry essentials. I've made a video on this already, so I'll link it at the end of this video if you want to check it out. And you know what else? If you're just starting off, please don't go to the extreme and forbid yourself from having any treat foods, only to look at other people who have them and then envy them. Now, veganism is just as fun. I always enjoy having some dark chocolate in the home, and Robin always likes to have a bag of chips for whenever we're in the mood. And because a whole foods plant-based lifestyle means that you're likely eating well the majority of the time, you don't have to give yourself a hard time for occasionally enjoying some treats. Something like some homemade vegan banana bread or homemade vegan cookies or muffins. It's all good. In addition to the pantry essentials, you're going to want to also make sure that you are stocked up on things like fresh produce, breads, those plant-based meat alternatives. I've already made a comprehensive grocery shopping list on vegan essentials, so if you want to get your own free copy, you can check out the link in the description box below. This is not a deprivation diet. It's an eat in abundance lifestyle. So a lot of times when people first think about veganism, they start to think about all the things that they can't have. Beef, chicken, fish, cheese, yogurt, butter, ice cream, milk. But that's not the right mindset. Instead, what we want to do is focus on all of the things we are adding and let these foods naturally replace the other stuff. Adding more plant-based dairy alternatives like soy, almond, rice, or coconut milks and yogurts. More whole grains, more fruits, more vegetables, more nuts, seeds, trail mixes, beans, lentils, tofu. You get the idea. And one more tip. If you're new to vegan, take advantage of the different mock meats, also known as textured vegetable proteins, that are available at most large chain grocery shops. When Robin first transitioned to eating more plant-based, he says this was the only reason he was able to actually stick with it. Some mock meatballs, mock ground beef, and mock chicken helps in your transition for sure. And if you don't know how to cook tofu, they even have pre-seasoned tofu available in most shops as well. With time, you can start to substitute for other more wholesome plant-based sources of protein if you'd like, things like making your own tofu, tempeh, lentils, and beans. But in the beginning, go ahead and use all the resources available to you. When you do start to include more beans and lentils as your plant sources for protein and carbs, start slow. A lot of people go from having nothing to having a cup or more in a day, and then they wonder why they're experiencing indigestion or gas. It does take our bodies some time to adjust, so start seriously with as little as 2 tablespoons a day, gradually increasing to 1/4 of a cup, half a cup, full cup, or however much you want. So a gradual increase in intake can help to mitigate the whole gas and bloat situation. I understand that it can be overwhelming in the beginning, especially if you don't know what to make. So start by learning just a handful of recipes that you enjoy and learn them well. These are going to be your defaults. With this lifestyle picking up momentum, there is no shortage of plant-based recipes on the web. Pinterest and YouTube are 2 places that will offer you thousands of delicious recipes. Simply type in vegan recipes and you'll have more options than you can imagine. And if that still feels like too much work, you can always go to the Pickup Lime's Pinterest page with boards that have already been created and organized for you into breakfasts, smoothies, drinks, snacks, main meals, and more. As always, the link can be found in the description box below. It is common to feel more hungry when you've just made the transition. Keep in mind that plant-based foods offer fewer calories for more bulk. Fruits, vegetables, and legumes simply can't offer the same amount of calories as you would find in the same amount of fatty meats, butter, cheese, or ice cream. So if you've just finished an entire meal and an hour or 2 later you find that you're still hungry, then honor your hunger and eat some more if you feel it'll help. It will take you some time to adjust, but just trust that your body will adjust and find its own balance very soon. I say this a lot because I think it's the most powerful tool that we've got, and that is, what is your why power? Why is it that you want to adopt a plant-based lifestyle? Is it for your health, for the environment, for the animals? Can you be more specific, and can you write it down? By seeing it on a regular basis and constantly reminding ourselves of the why, it'll be more likely to stick. And the other thing it does is it helps us to shift our focus away from the losses, the things we think we're losing, like our ability to have chicken. And instead what it does is it focuses our attention on the gains. So gaining improved health, gaining an improved environmental footprint, gaining the peace of mind knowing that an animal's life wasn't taken for us to enjoy our meal. Now, regardless of what your reason is, and there's no judgment, the question to be asking yourself is why? Because it allows you to shift your focus away from the things you think you're losing and instead focus on what you are actually gaining. So you messed up. Seriously, don't sweat it. Just do as much as is reasonable to you. There's a few glorified stories of these people who became vegan overnight and never looked back, and we all envy them because, to be honest, the path and journey into veganism is more of a zigzag than it is a straight line. I mean, think about it. You're rewriting years or decades of teachings about how to eat, and you're reconfiguring habits that you've lived with for your whole life. So the boat may rock a couple of times. If you trip, just turn it into a dance and keep smiling. In other words, if you've slipped up, it's seriously okay. Onwards and upwards. Yes, a vitamin B12 supplement is recommended, but how often you'd need to take it depends on the dosage. I've written a very brief article on this. I'll leave the link in the description box in case you want to check it out. And if you're also living somewhere where the sun is not shining so much, or maybe it is, but you are wearing sunscreen, then a vitamin D supplement is also recommended. But this applies to everybody, not just vegans. For me, veganism is not just compassion for the animals, the environment, and for my health, but it also means widening the circle of compassion to include friends, family, acquaintances, and even total strangers. Unfortunately, in the world of plant-based nutrition, there can be a fair bit of criticism and judgment when it comes to the choices of others. You might have heard or read somebody say, well, you eat fish? You're not a real vegetarian then. Or if you had honey, then you can't call yourself a vegan. And according to the strict guidelines, that might be true. But I say drop the strict guidelines and just do your best. I mean, having plant-based foods most of the time is a clear win compared to nothing at all. And if you're somebody who is already following a plant-based lifestyle, I would encourage you to share and spread the message with love. Answer questions openly and honestly, and never judge or criticize the decisions of others. Just lead by example, and if they feel inspired, they'll be more likely to join than if they were feeling pressured or were made to feel inadequate in some way. All right, so those were Pickup Lime's top 12 tips for anybody who is transitioning to more of a plant-based lifestyle. And I also have a bonus tip for anyone who might be interested. You can always go to your doctor to get some blood work done before you begin, and again 6 to 12 months down the road. Of course, you don't need to do this, but it might help to increase your confidence and to help reassure you and your loved ones that things are going well. In many cases, the lab work comes back indicating no issues, or in some cases, certain lab values may have improved, things like cholesterol, which is why some people choose to follow such a lifestyle. But in other cases, it could come back and show a sign of deficiency. And I mean, that was the point, right? To make sure that things are going okay. So no worries. Remember, you're in the learning stages of it all. It could just mean that you overlooked a certain food item that you're now going to start to incorporate more into your diet. And if you choose not to do this as well, no worries also. If done correctly, there should be no deficiencies on a whole foods plant-based diet. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, it would mean the world to me if you gave it a thumbs up, because to be honest, I was a little bit nervous about making it, hoping I was going to answer all of your questions. And if you're looking for more credible sources of information, I will share some links for you in the description box below. One of them is a book called Becoming Vegan. They also have a book called Becoming Vegetarian, written by 2 registered dietitians, and it's a very comprehensive resource for anyone who's wanting to learn and know more, and it's all evidence-based and backed up. The other one is a website as well as a YouTube channel called nutritionfacts.org, run by a vegan physician named Dr. Greger, and he's got some great information there as well, so you can feel free to check those out. All right, that's it for now. Pickup Lime's signing off. We'll see you real soon.